Welcome to Part 2, Top 10 Most Commonly Used Excel Formulas Suggested by ChatGPT. Today we'll focus on lookup, index match. Lookup, we actually have three types of lookup: the simple lookup, vertical lookup, horizontal lookup. I will tell you why vertical lookup is very useful and why the index match is even more powerful. And lastly, I will tell you why lookup is not recommended. First, we start with vertical lookup. Now I have these three column data: region, code, city, and sales. Now I want to find the sales for this corresponding region code. So we can use the vertical lookup. There are a few arguments you need to put in. The first one is the lookup value. So this is the value we want to look up. You can actually type or just select. I would recommend you to do the selection. And the second argument you need to put in is the table array. So this is the range of data the value you want to look up is sitting in. So now we have these three columns. The first column is this region code. The second and the third, where is the sales is located. So for this column index number, you need to put 3. Okay. And then you need to specify whether you want the approximate match or the exact match. Usually I will use this exact match. So you just double click on the false and you can just enter. So we will find the sales for this code. So for example, is this one 1664. Okay. So just like I mentioned, you can just type is you just type within this double quote. It will give you the same value. But this is more tedious. So if you want easier, maybe you can just put a drop down list and people can just click and select. Okay. One thing I want to remind you is if you have same region code, it will only give you the first row of the data if fine. So this is a limitation of the vertical lookup. If you want to find the exact one or you want to specify this region code and the city, you can use the index match. Okay, so now we go to second part of this vertical lookup. Why is this how this vertical lookup can be useful? Okay, so now I arrange this sales in ascending order. For example, now you want to visit this region and you ask your friend for the famous place and the famous food of this region. Okay, if you give your friend give you a list of this different place and different food for the corresponding code. So how you want to find? Yes, you can looking up you can look up manually, but there are some simple way. You can just use a vertical lookup. Okay, so this is the region code you want to look up because now your data, the second set data you have is a region code. So this is your first lookup value. Then second, the table array is you want to select the second table that your data is sitting in. Okay. Then the column index is first you want to find the famous place. So famous place is second at the second column. So you put 2. And you want the exact match. Okay, so now you know that the famous place is for this region code is an Independent National Historical Park. If you want to find the famous food, you can just do some simple modification on this formula and then you can just drag along. So we'll freeze this region code. You can just press F4 to freeze this region and F4 again to freeze this table array. So now this one we select is 2. You can just simply click on this 2 if you have back here or anywhere if you put the number. Okay, so I just want to show you how you can easily expand your vertical lookup. Okay, so now you put here 2 and if you just drag, let's see what happened. So this region code is freeze because of this dollar sign. Just now you press F4 and you freeze also your table array, but this one is changed to this one. So if you have other column of data, you can just put the number and drag along. Okay, so if you want to find for others, you can just simply double click. Okay, so something wrong here is you need to freeze the row number so that it will not move around. So now you can just put only the $sign in front of this row number so that it will freeze the row. So when we drag down, it will not go along. So now you have all same. Okay, this one is incorrect because you freeze this one, but we want to find a different region. So now what you can do is you change this one, you freeze only the column. So when you drag, it will not move along the column, but it will change as you drag down, the row number will change. Okay, so same thing we can do with this famous word. Okay, so now you have the famous place and famous root sorting according to your region. Okay, so yes, this is the useful of this vertical lookup. VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP are not different by just how in which direction they look up the value, but depends on how your data is arranged. Their usefulness can be very different. So in this example, I have machine A, B, C that can handle different material, and this is their parts produced in the different years. So if I use VLOOKUP, and when I want to look for the parts produced by machine A, I must select the row corresponding to machine A as my data array. If I'm looking for machine B, I must specify the row corresponding to machine B as my data array. Okay, if you want to still use a vertical lookup, you can do some slight change to your data by combining the machine and material. So in this example, I have changed the lookup value, and my data, my table array is also slightly changed because my lookup values is this column. So if I want to look up the parts produced by machine in year 2020, so now the column index is slightly changed. Instead of 2, I need to use 5 because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's located at the 5th column. Okay. In this case, I think HLOOKUP is a better use. So now I will show you how HLOOKUP is used. So first you need to identify the lookup value. So for this case, we want to look up the total parts produced in 2022 for machine air and copper. Okay, so now you need to specify your table array. For this one, you need to include the very first row, which the header of the lookup value is included, and until the last row of your data. Then third, you need to specify the row index number, means which row the lookup value is located. So this one for machine A and copper, it is located at row number 2. Okay, you can type a 2 here, but usually I will prefer to refer to the cell by adding an additional column, so that when I want to change to other, it's easier for me to refer. Okay, and then the last argument is the range lookup, whether you want exact match or approximate match. For false is the exact match. Okay, now you have the first lookup value. So for second example, now you want to look up for machine C with C still. So this one is in the row number 9. Okay, but if you change to machine B, the row has changed, but the value will not change because your row number is not changed automatically by changing the machine number. So now if a machine B with steel is supposed to be a row number 6, so now you need to change to row number 6 to get the correct lookup value. Okay, even though HLOOKUP is more useful than VLOOKUP in this case, but if you have two conditions to match, like machine and material, so the better use will be index match. Just now I mentioned index and match is a better use if you want to specify two different conditions. But before that, you need to understand how index and match is a function. Index and match are two different formulas, but we combine them as a lookup function. First, we use the match to find the row number within an array. Then we use the index to find the value we want to look up. So in this example, we want to look up the steel material of machine A. So your lookup value is steel, and your table array and your lookup array is the material produced by machine A. And then you need to specify the match type. So you can use 1, 0 or -1. So we'll use the 0 for the exact match. Now you get a number 2. So this means the steel is located at the second row of this array. Okay, then we will use the index. This index is first you need to specify the array, including all the data you want to look up for, and then you need to specify the row number. So this one I refer to this cell because this one we use the match to find the row number. You can just put the 2. So index is first you identify your row number and then your column number. So in this case, this is the second row and your second column. So you will get 3700. Okay. So if we combine the match and index together, this is what you could get. Okay. So you actually put the match into the second row, which you specify the row number for this index function. Okay. So if you put everything together, index. So first you need to specify the array. Okay. And then second, you need to specify the row. So for the row, how we want to find, we use the match. For match, first you need to have the lookup value. So we look up for the steel and within this machine A. Okay. And then we want the exact match. Okay. Then you need to specify the column number. So this column number is we want to find the total parts produced in year 2020. So we will put 2 because this is 1, this is 2. Okay. Then you close the bracket, enter. Okay. So the good thing about index match is that it's not necessary your value, the array of your lookup value must be at the very first column as in vertical lookup. So in vertical lookup, if your the reference is on the right side, you are not able to look up the value. So in that case, if you cannot make changes to your data, you can use index match. Now we come to the most challenging part of today's video, how you want to use the index and match to find the two different conditions to look up for the value. So in this example, you want to find the total parts produced in year 2022 for machine B with material steel. Now let's see how can we use the index and match to look up for the value with two conditions. So for this example, we want to look up for the parts produced in year 2022 produced by machine with material steel. So first, with the index, you need to specify your array, then a row number and column number. So for array is the total range of cells for the data involved, and then for the row number, we will use the match. Now you have two conditions, so we will use the and sign, so the first one and the second one. And then for the lookup array, so this one, D column is for the machine, and then the E column is for the material, because you have two conditions to match. And then for the row number, this one you need to specify the match type. We use 0 because we want the exact match. And then for the row number, the column number, we will use another match to find the year. So this one is the year we are looking for, and then you need to specify your lookup array. And this 0 is again for the exact match. Now you have everything set up, but you cannot just simply click enter. It will not show the value because this is an array function, so you need to use the shift control enter. Okay, now you have the formula ready, so you can just change the machine or the year. You can simply change the condition and the number will be automatically updated. So this is the usefulness of this index and match. Now I will tell you why the lookup value is not recommended, because you need to ensure that your data is arranged in order. So for example, now I want to look up for this region code for the phonics, but I didn't arrange in order for this city. Okay, so you can see I supposed to get XZ, but I get MY. But if I'm looking for the city name by specifying this region code, I can get the correct value because now I arrange this region by order. So you can see this one, DC, I get the Washington, and the OR, I get the Poland. Okay, so for lookup function, you have to always remember that you need to arrange your data in order for you to get the correct number. If you have watched until here, please like and subscribe. Thank you.